18th meeting. Please join us in the pledge. Mr. McCarthy.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Here.
Councilman McCarthy.
Here.
Councilwoman Noack.
Here.
Councilwoman Inzarella.
Here.
Councilman Lohman.
Here. Okay, we'll begin sitting as Board of Water Commissioners.
The minutes approved of December 12th. And there's two resolutions, 22679 and 22681, that are both for transfers between budget accounts. The second resolution is for the supervisor to sign an agreement with Upstate Leak Detection LLC to perform leak detection services. And the last one is an amendment to the agreement with Pace Analytical Services for water quality testing for the Smithtown and St. James Water Districts. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes. Reconvene as town board.
Under correspondence, we have the Building Department report for December 2023. There's 3 public hearings. The first public hearing is to consider the special exception petition 2023-05 submitted by 295 Osser Avenue to amend special exception approval 2023-01 to include the installation of a temporary 9,360-foot square feet tent over a portion of the turf field. Chris Tartaglia is here to represent the applicant. Chris, did you bring the, Thank you.
Maybe some posting and mailing,
Great, thanks.
the photos.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Supervisor Wareheim, members of the board. For the record, my name is Chris Tartaglia from High Point Engineering. I'm appearing on behalf of the applicant today, Long Island Fieldhouse LLC. As per the call of the roll, we are here for modification of a prior approval issued by this board, which interestingly enough, we appeared exactly 1 year ago on the 16th before this board for the original hearing and approvals. We are amending the special approval for the commercial public recreation facility to add a temporary tent over the field, which was outdoor field, which was constructed as part of that prior approval granted by this board. I prepared the exhibit to my right here, which gives an idea from an aerial perspective. The red area there would be the temporary tent. That tent will be installed only during the winter months. We've read the PAR memo for a maximum of 6 months. We hope if the weather is warmer that it would be significantly less than that. But one explanation that I think is necessary is, well, why didn't we talk about the tent when I saw you a year ago? And it's an interesting explanation, but certainly one I think you'll understand. So Long Island Fieldhouse bought the tent from a local tent company who has supplied a lot of the temporary tents in this town at the restaurants and the other facilities. And in their sale of the tent to LI Fieldhouse, they said, we'll get you the permit for the temporary tent as needed. When needed, they take a week or 2 weeks from the building department. So my clients took that as the gospel and proceeded forward and frankly didn't tell me that they needed a tent for the winter months. So that's why we're back before you, because when that application was filed for a temporary tent, the building department said, wait a minute, this is part of a larger approval as granted by town board with variances by the zoning board of appeals. So here we are. We're amending that permit and that approval to have this tent erected. It is not installed yet, and of course, they're going to wait for the approvals to do so. Just going to the next slide here. So this puts a little bit more of a finer point on it, on the property. Again, the red area is the tent. It's under 10,000 square feet. Total height of the tent is just larger than the building at about 23 feet. The rough installation dates, again, within a maximum 6-month period, would be either the middle to end of October, again, depending upon weather and temperatures, and certainly be out of there within 6 months, certainly by the middle to end of March. The approvals, as I mentioned, there will be additional approvals required from the Board of Appeals for certain setback relief, and height relief, and we will be also seeking a site plan exemption from the planning department for this prior to pulling building permits. That's kind of the application in a nutshell. I do have principals of Long Island Fieldhouse LLC if there are any operational questions, and I certainly can handle any technical questions, but that's a relatively simple overview of the proposal.
I might ask, do we have any engineered plans that we could present to our building department for the tent?
Supervisor Wareheim, you literally took the words right out of my mouth. I was talking to my client about that before. We will have those prepared. The tent company is providing them, and will be providing code compliance as far as snow loads, wind loads, and other applicable code compliance. We will have those.
That's good, Mr. Tartaglia. If you could forward those over to the building department so that they have that and take a look at it.
Will do.
Very good. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard on this public hearing? Anybody, any questions by the board? No.
No.
Okay. Move to close.
Second.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone.
You as well.
The next two public hearings are for proposed amendments to changes in the town code, and Janice Hanson, Assistant Town Attorney, is here to describe the changes.
Good afternoon, Supervisor and members of the Town Board. Once again, I'm Janice Hanson, Assistant Town Attorney. The purpose of the first public hearing is to consider amendments to Chapter 322 of the Town Code, specifically Section 322-92, regarding certificates of occupancy. The proposed amendment would change Section 322-92B1 to reflect that in cases of undue hardship, a temporary certificate of occupancy will be valid for a period of 1 year instead of 6 months. And the language without extension would be removed as well. That is the only change that is proposed for this particular section. So if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions by the board? Any questions in the audience on this public hearing? Being none, move to close.
Second.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Anzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes.
Okay, the next public hearing is for proposed amendments to Chapter 112.
Okay, the purpose of this hearing is to consider amendments to Section 11211 with regard to fees. So I have a number of fees to rattle off to you. If adopted, the new fees under Section 11211A1 residential buildings will be as follows. Subsection A, new construction, base fee of $285 and 52 cents per square foot of proposed work. B, additions and alterations, base fee $285 and 42 cents per square foot of proposed work. C, residential antennas, satellite dishes, fireplaces, stoves, sheds, air conditioning units, and heating units, $105 per unit. D, plumbing permits, $52 for the first two fixtures and $26 for each additional fixture. No change to E. F is gas pressure test, $105 per meter per test. G, retaining walls, base fee $310 and $1.30 per 4 square feet of wall area. And H, residential rooftop mounted solar panels would be $155. For Section 11211-2 commercial buildings, subsection A, new construction and additions, base fee of $520 and 58 cents per square foot of gross floor area. Interior alterations, subsection B, base fee $360 and 58 cents per square foot of proposed work. C, heating and air conditioning units and other permanently installed equipment, $520 per unit. D, plumbing permits, $260 for the first two fixtures and $32 for each additional fixture. No change on E. F, gas pressure test, $260 per meter per test. No change on G. H, installation of elevators. The fee remains the same, but we are removing the language for yearly certificate of inspection. I, facade renovations, base fee $260 and 47 cents per square foot of affected area. No change on J. K, tents $260. L, rooftop mounted solar panels, 13 per panel, not to exceed 2,100. M, commercial antennas and satellite dishes, $1,050 per unit. And Section 11211-3, general permits or fees. A, installation of fences, $160. B, installation of above-ground or in-ground pools other than gunite or concrete, $160, including the fence. gunite or concrete in-ground swimming pools, 310, including fence. C, installation of ground-mounted solar panels, 300 for up to 20 panels, 300 plus $2.35 per panel in excess of 20 panels, not to exceed 26,000. D, installation of removal of storage tanks, 310 per tank. E, demolition of residential dwelling, 310 per dwelling. No change on F. G, use permit fee, 310. H, demolition of commercial structure per structure up to 9,999 square feet would be 310. 10,000 to 19,999 square feet, $520. 20,000 to 49,999 square feet, $2,080. 50,000 square feet and up, $3,640. And then I, site work only, is $800. Those are the proposed new fees under those sections.
Okay, any questions by the board? Would anyone in the audience wish to be heard on this public hearing? Being none, I move to close.
Second.
Councilman Bowman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes, thank you, Counselor.
The next is for advertise for public hearing. We authorize the town clerk to advertise for 5 public hearings to be held at 2 o'clock on Tuesday, February 6th at Town Hall. The first is Chapter 322, zoning regarding Board of Appeals. The second is Chapter 322, zoning, site plan review. Chapter 248, subdivision of land. Chapter 151, environmental and coastal quality review. And Chapter 112, building construction. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
On the consent agenda for the comptroller, number 1 to 16, and resolutions 1 to 4, and the minutes of 12:28 and 1-2. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Authorize the town clerk to advertise for the following bids. Bid 24-6, polyethylene mulch bags, 24-4, HVAC maintenance, and 24-1, fuel for resale at the town marina. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Award bid 2391 to Portland Cement Powder to Elm Transit Mix, and authorize the purchase of the associated goods or services. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
The town board to issue a secret positive declaration in the manner of change of zone petition 2023-02, Beechwood Smithtown LLC, location Old Northport Road and Lawrence Road in Kings Park, for the reasons stated in a memorandum from the Environmental Protection Director. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Issue a secret negative declaration in the following 2 matters for reasons stated in a memorandum from the Environmental Protection Director. The town board's own motion to adopt amendments to Chapter 322 of the Smithtown Code entitled zoning as it relates to yards, and in the special exception petition 2023-05 for 295 Oser Avenue. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noah?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
The town board to approve the following. Modify fees under Town Code Chapter 153 entitled Stormwater Management and Erosion and Sediment Control. Appointment of Paul D'Amato to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Appointment of Dion Mills as Secretary to the Board of Ethics. Accept the proposal from L.K. McLean Associates related to professional services for Smithtown Highway Yard Transfer Station registration renewal. The ratification of the town controller's execution of a natural gas fixed pricing agreement with NRG Business Marketing. Approve an agreement to engage with Bonadio and Company for professional consulting services for GASB 87 implementation assistance. The town controller recommends the continuation of the agreement with Munistat Services Incorporated. Extension of bid 21-101 for cesspool cleaning and related services with Clear River Environmental Corp. Extension of bid 2210 for outboard motors and related items with American Marine. The adoption of amendments to Chapter 322 of the Town Code entitled regarding yards, and correction to the local law numbers that were adopted at the 12/28/23 Town Board meeting. And the last is approval of a bond for $600,000 for improvements to various parks, subject to permissive referendum. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
Authorize the acceptance of a grant awarded from New York State Department of Education Local Government Records Management Improvement Fund in the amount of $149,998 for the purpose of improving preservation and access to building department records as well as records from the Wisconsin Fire District. Accept the donation from Doreen Nukatra for $50 and Patricia Dawson in memory of Ray November to the animal shelter. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
The town board to authorize the supervisor to execute the following resolutions on a form approved by the town attorney. The CSC Residential Repair Program contract with Suffolk County Office for the Aging, a contract between the County of Suffolk and the town for the nutrition program for the elderly, a retainer agreement with Keen and Bean PC, an intermunicipal agreement with Suffolk County pursuant to Chapter 119 of the General Municipal Law, and an agreement with Haydeck Engineering to provide engineering services for various sites at Callahan's Beach in Fort Salonga. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes.
And personnel items 1 to 11 as described on the agenda. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Abstain on number 7, yes on the rest.
And we have one read-on, and it is to approve the special exception 2023-05 that was described at the beginning of the meeting by Chris Tartaglia. Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes. We'll go back to public hearing number 2 also, and I will move to adopt. Yeah.
All three?
Is it you second?
Move to adopt all three, yes. Yes.
Councilman Lohman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Inzarella?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Supervisor Wareheim.
Yes. That concludes the resolutions on the agenda. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak this afternoon?
There's one speaker, Erwin Eisen.
Okay, before you start, Mr. Eisen, public participation is subject to the rules of decorum, which you have on your speaker card. Public portion is for town-related matters only. Any unsubstantiated, unverified, or material false information will be interrupted. 3-minute rule will be strictly enforced, so when you hear the tone, you know you have 1 minute to complete your statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor, members of the board, thank you very much for time this afternoon. I have a couple of matters on today's agenda as well as prior board meetings. So if I may address today's agenda matters. Under subsection G, number 3, retainer agreement with Keen and Bean PC. Is it my understanding that Lamb and Bornowski are no longer the attorneys for the town of Smithtown? If so, I'd like to know why and the experience that Keen and Bean have as municipal attorneys. That's number 1. Number 2, on the same page, number 5, is the agreement with Heideck Engineering LLC for more work to be done at the Callahan's Beach project. I'd like to know what that work's involved. I'd like to know what, if any, additional work from the original scope of work they submitted is relevant to the Callahan's Beach project. And obviously, the beach project is a high priority for me. Also, if I may, prior meetings, there was a discussion regarding the permit fee for the parks. I'd like to go on record of having not attended that meeting and like to voice my objection to the proposed parking fee for the Smithtown Town Parks. I believe this is the first time Smithtown has tried to implement a parking fee for their town parks, in which case I would, a longtime resident, say I'm opposed to that, number 1. Number 2 is that in that justification, there was some talk of increasing or funding the summer salaries of some of the park employees or other means of justification for raising that fee. And I believe that was something regarding wages that are going up and so on and so forth. I'd like to bring this board's attention to the budget adopted by this board in the Parks Department in which part-time salaries, which I presume would be the people hired through this initiative, you have down to $17,500 in your proposed budget. So I think that's a little short-sighted. If this board had intentions of raising that fee, implementing that parking fee, then perhaps the salaries for the part-time employees should have been more accurately portrayed in the town budget. Third, my last point rather, is in reviewing the town budget and speaking or getting in touch with the controller's office, I noticed that the prior controller, which was appointed, Mr. Rubino, has now been removed very recently. I'd like to know why. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eisen. We can answer your questions if you'd like after the meeting is closed.
That's
Any
for the old
speakers?
speaker.
Okay, then I will move to close the meeting.
Second.
Supervisor Wareheim?
Yes.
Councilman McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilwoman Noack?
Yes.
Councilwoman Zarella?
Yes.
Councilman Loman?
Yes. Thank you all for attending.